Hey there and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 favorite niche fragrances that I own and that I currently have in my collection. This was actually kind of difficult because I do have a good group of kind of favorite niche fragrances that I've picked up over the years, and I really wanted to make sure that I was covering a lot of bases and that I only had one per house as well to kind of keep it more interesting for you guys. But yeah, just know that there are a lot more that I like both in my collection and that I've tried and that I don't yet own, but we will get into it now. And if this is your first video of mine that you're seeing, don't forget to subscribe. I put out new fragrance videos every single day. And yeah, let's get into it. So the first one will come as no surprise. I've talked about it a bunch of times. So many people have spoken about it, and I'm sure you guys, if you're huge fragrance lovers, you've at least heard about this fragrance. And this is Sunshine by Amouage. This is by far one of the best kind of like masterpiece fragrances that I own and that I've smelled throughout the years. This is incredible. It is such a lovely fragrance. It's kind of hard to describe just because personally, having watched so many reviews of it prior to trying it out and buying it, I don't feel like those explanations were how it smells on me. And so I don't know if my explanation will help you guys in that same way, but a lot of people do think that it kind of smells like an apricot dessert. Personally, on me, I get a lot more of like a sweet white tobacco scent, and I love it. It's so stunning. It's so different from everything that I own and from everything that I've smelled. And the performance on this, both sillage, longevity, and just like the actual scent itself and how well it's blended and how incredible it's been crafted, is completely worthy of being niche level. So I'll get to some other fragrances that are niche that are my favorite but that are struggling in a particular category, and I feel like this one is just all around amazing. I love the scent, I love how long it lasts, I love the sillage, I love how unique it is, I love the bottle, I love the box it came in. It really can do no wrong in my books. Obviously it's very expensive, and the one thing that I would change, if I could change anything, would be its price, but I will say it has been completely worth its price to me, and this is probably my most long-lasting, if not my top 3 most long-lasting fragrances of all time. I've mentioned a couple times that this fragrance has lasted through a wash as well on clothing that I've sprayed it on, and it's just incredible. I love it. I absolutely adore it, and I can very easily see myself, once I do go through this, buying another one right away, because I never really want to be without this, and that's so rare for me to just immediately know that I need another one right away, especially for a fragrance that is so expensive. So totally recommend. Sunshine Amouage is incredible, and that is my number 1 pick. The rest of them, they really aren't in any order, but yeah, this one I will just say it's been impressive all around, so I will put this in my number 1 spot just because of how unique it is. Then another fragrance I've talked about a bunch on my channel, and this is the Impudent Cousin Matthew by Penhaligons, and this is in the Portraits collection. And this is technically marketed towards men, but I think it's incredibly unisex. It's just a very beautiful, fresh citrus that's a little barbershoppy. And this one was another kind of moment where I specifically remember trying all the Portraits collection fragrances, except for the Harrods exclusive ones, obviously, in store. And this has just stood out to me. For whatever reason, I just couldn't get it out of my head. And I got a sample, and then I came home, and I don't know, many months later, I bought it online. And I've, loved it ever since. I loved it from the moment I smelled it. It is just so fresh and inviting and light, and yet it doesn't just, for a citrusy fragrance that has like petitgrain and stuff, it isn't one that just dissipates quickly, because citrus in general isn't, an accord or a category of fragrance that is super, super long lasting in most cases, and this is the exception. I think it's beautiful. It's not as long lasting as Amouage Sunshine, but you can't really compare things to that in my book. But this is incredible. I'm so, so happy with it. I definitely recommend it to both women and men. I think really anyone can wear this as long as you like fresh citrus fragrances. I think it's beautiful, especially for spring and summer. I just think it's stunning and definitely in my top 5. Then another fragrance I've definitely talked about, and if you guys have been watching me, you know, as an extreme and avid violet lover, there's no way I couldn't include Insolence Eau de Toilette by Guerlain. This is stunning. It's a candied violet. It's a fragrance that before I even knew it existed, this scent has always, since I was young, since I was a teenager, I've adored. I love those Violetta candies you can get in Europe and in Spain. I love like violet liqueur that kind of smells like this, like a candied violet liqueur. And yeah, I just adore these kinds of scents, and this Insolence Eau de Toilette just kind of takes that idea of a candied violet to the extreme. It's a pure candied violet scent. If you don't like very sweet violet or very sweet scents or like sweet powdery scents, you're not gonna like this. And there are definitely people that I would say I wouldn't recommend this to. But for me personally, this is kind of everything I could want in a violet fragrance in one. And I don't really see myself ever being without this either. This is kind of like an Amouage situation where as soon as this is done, I would like to try the Eau de Parfum, because I've only ever owned and tried the Eau de Toilette. And if I ever can get my hands on the millions of other flankers that have been now discontinued, I would do so in a heartbeat, but I just never have. And honestly, I just think it's stunning. If you haven't tried it already and you do like sweet violet powdery scents, this is incredible and forever going to be in my collection. So that's Insolence Eau de Toilette. Then a more recent purchase of mine, which has quickly just shot to being, you know, one of my favorite fragrances of all time, is True Lust by Etat Libre. And this, I can't really begin to describe what this smells like to me. This also has violet in it, but it's in no way kind of like a sweet candied violet like that one. It has an incredibly long list of notes in this, a lot of which are completely up my alley. I did a first impressions on this where at first spray I was disappointed, and then by the end of the video, once it had settled on my skin, I had fallen in love with it. And then I did a second impressions on this, and I spoke about how much I adored this. I wore this on my birthday. Since I've hauled this, just find myself going to it so many times, and you can't really see on camera, I don't think, but there's already a good dent in this, and I've had this for a month. And that doesn't happen very often in like with a collection of my size. So this is incredible. I got the 30 ml of this, and I completely see myself, first of all, going through this, and second of all, getting a larger bottle and always having this in my collection. This is one of the only fragrances, if not the only fragrance in my collection, that lists animal notes, and I adore it because I'm really not an animalic fragrance kind of person. I do try to get my nose accustomed to and into as many notes and accords as possible, just because I adore fragrance so much. But animalic scents have always been difficult for me, and this, it just gives it a delicious quality where it's like inexplainable in my eyes, and I completely adore it. I completely recommend it, but it's unique for sure. So if you don't want to buy it blind like I did, try to get a sample, but I think it's completely worth it, and True Lust will forever be in my collection. And yeah, so that's number 4. And then finally, this is kind of a fragrance that I was gonna switch up for a couple others, and then in the end I just kind of went with it because of like the journey that it took me to get to it. But there are definitely things I don't like about this fragrance. I just felt like I would probably put it in my top 5, but this is the one I was most unsure about, and that's Delina by Parfums de Marly. This, I'm sure so many of you know. There's 1,000,001 videos on this on YouTube. I'm sure you've seen many of them, and if you for any reason haven't, definitely take a look if you're interested. There's more reviews on this than you will probably ever need, and I myself have also done a review on this on my channel. So I will just say I do like this fragrance, but the lasting power on this is really, really disappointing. And especially for a fragrance of, you know, from a house of this caliber, and you know, for someone that, like a fragrance that is so talked about and so loved, it is disappointing to have it last an hour or two on the skin and then just become a skin scent. It doesn't detract me from it so much that I'm disappointed for having bought it. I think I just had it on my mind so much, and it was so hyped, that I'm really glad I have it. I'm really glad I tried it, and I do actually enjoy the scent. This is what I'm wearing today. I do enjoy the scent. It is more, it's both more unique than you think, and yet not as unique as you think at the same time. And that's hard to explain, but I think if you go into it thinking this is going to be the most unique fragrance in the world and it's so incredible, you're going to be disappointed. It's not that. But it's not as common and generic as you would think, or that you would be completely disappointed by it, in my opinion. I do really like it. I have heard Delina exclusive, while being different in scent a little bit, also has better lasting power. So I feel like personally I would want to go through this first before I purchased my Delina exclusive, but the next time I do purchase, I will try Delina exclusive instead of just regular Delina. In the meantime though, it is a really nice scent. It's a very girly scent, and I actually really enjoy the combination of the rose and rhubarb in this. I'm a fan of that kind of tart floral scent. But yeah, you know, buy this at your own will. I still consider it as being one of my favorite niche fragrances, even though the lasting power just completely is not there, especially if you compare it to something like Sunshine by Amouage. They're just so far apart from each other, so that has been disappointing. Scent-wise though, honestly, I am a fan, and I still really like this one. So those are my top 5 favorite niche fragrances currently in my collection. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and let me know your favorite niche fragrances, or your favorite niche fragrances that you'd like to try from the ones I showed you. And I will see you next time. Bye!